All right, guys, so the Catholic Church is going after Nancy Pelosi. This is really interesting, and the Fox News hosts are kind of gloating over that fact, so let's take a look.
A San Francisco archbishop is banning Speaker Nancy Pelosi from receiving Holy Communion over her support for abortion. Archbishop Salvatore Cordileone telling Pelosi, quote, you are not to be a...
She called him Salvatore Cordileone. I can't tell. What's his background? Is he Italian? I can't tell.
Admitted to Holy Communion until such a time as you publicly repudiate your advocacy for the legitimacy of abortion. Here to react is Fox News contributor Raymond Arroyo. Raymond, welcome. Let's get right to this because a lot of people don't understand how things work in the Catholic Church. So first of all, the Archbishop has been reaching out to Pelosi for quite a while, correct?
Yeah, 10 years.
So what? Does that make it okay to just axe her because of a political position on abortion? I'm going to get to some statistics on this in a little bit that are going to blow your mind. So just bear with me here.
Years, Rachel. So they've been in dialogue for 10 years. They even met in person on a few occasions. But recently, Pelosi has sort of doubled down on her advocacy of abortion, wanting to enshrine it in law. And the bishop has been trying to reach out to her. There's been no communication. So he just publicly issued, which she already knew, she should not present herself to communion as a Catholic. Here's why. There's canon law. Canon 915 locks he and any Catholic into this position. If one is obstinately persevering in manifest grave sin, manifest meaning public sin, you're not to present yourself to communion. So all the bishop did here, Archbishop Cordileone, all he did was alert his priests that Nancy Pelosi is not to receive communion. This is a warning shot, Rachel. This is an act of mercy to Nancy.
It's an act of mercy. Look, I'm no fan of Nancy Pelosi. In fact, I'm one of her biggest critics. I despise her. I think she's deeply corrupt. I think she's central to the rot in the Democratic Party. But having said that, this notion that, like, you can't be part of a religion and then have heterodox views from within that religion, that's really silly. That's really silly. People have all different sorts of political views and economic views from within the Catholic Church and from within every religion. So look, Catholicism is a branch of Christianity. Jesus was very clear about his beliefs on helping the poor and being pretty clearly anti-rich, anti-wealthy people. You know, a camel has a better chance of getting through an eye of the needle than a rich person does of getting into heaven. You know, give away all your worldly possessions and follow me. That was Jesus's mentality. So can I turn around and say, if you are a Republican Catholic, we're going to ban you from coming to church. You're not allowed to come to church. Why? Because, look, your economic views help the wealthy and screw the poor. And they do. They do that. So since you're taking a position that's out of lockstep with the thrust of the main message of not just the Catholic Church, but also the Pope, who's the head of the Catholic Church, who does want to help the poor to his credit, what can I say? You're not allowed here. You can't have communion. And you're not allowed to publicly portray yourself as some sort of Catholic. Nobody would say that. And they wouldn't say it because it's goofy. Like, religions are very different, I think, from political ideologies. Where political ideologies, there is sort of like a list of some basic things you need to support in order to fall into one ideology or another ideology. With religions, people can call themselves, I'm a Muslim, I'm a Catholic, I'm a Baptist, I'm Hindu, I'm Buddhist, and still have an amalgamation of all different sorts of views about the way the world works and the way their religion works. You know, theology is kind of about whatever your interpretation of the thing is. You can have that and also maintain the identity of being part of the group. So, but they're clearly trying to back up this archbishop and be like, yeah, she should be banned from having communion because she supports abortion. Well, okay, if you want to play this game, every Republican Catholic should be banned from having communion because they support policies that hurt the poor, and that's the opposite of Jesus' philosophy and the opposite of the Pope's philosophy. Now, I don't want to play this game, but if you want to start this game, okay, well, then that's where it leads.
Pelosi, putting her on notice that her soul is in jeopardy. Now,
her soul is in jeopardy. I like how he's trying to describe this like he's spitting facts. He's trying to be nice. He's trying to show mercy, and it shows that her soul is in jeopardy. Look, her soul is in jeopardy, but that's because she's deeply corrupt. And because she's, again, core to the rot of the Democratic Party, where they just represent corporations of the military-industrial complex and things of that nature. It's got nothing to do with her personal take on abortion.
People privately may be living sinful lives, and we all are sinners at different levels, but when you're public about it, and in this case, Nancy Pelosi saying, I can be a devout Catholic and hold this view that is opposed to human life and the teaching of my church, that's a problem.
Okay, so opposed to human life. That's the problem here, as you just described, right? So what about any Republican who supports the death penalty? They're opposing human life. Do you have to be pro-life, not just on the front end, but also on the back end, in order to be Catholic? Well, according to your logic, any pro-death penalty Catholic is not a real Catholic and shouldn't be allowed to get communion. Look, again, we could play this game all day. It's not hard.
So the bishop is saying, no, you can't. So you've got to live consistently the life that you're claiming here as a Catholic. I often tell my...
How many Catholic priests, some were closet gay, right? And that's supposed to be against the doctrine of Catholicism and against Christianity or whatever. How many of them were pedos? And were doing pedophile stuff? How many? It was a lot. So many that there was a massive scandal, and they literally paid out billions of dollars to quiet up the scandal, to pay people who were molested or worse. You're telling me those priests are still allowed to be Catholic priests, but Pelosi can't get communion because she supports Roe versus Wade? So you embrace pedophiles more than you embrace pro-choice people. Okay, I mean, look, if you want this to be the way it works, well, you're saying a lot about yourself to the world.
My own children, communion is not the Whopper. You can't have it your way, okay? You have to have it the way the church prescribes and the way Christ lays out. Or, you make the choice to either be in the club or not.
Right, you don't have to be a Catholic. Really quick, he's the
Well, that is a fair point. Everybody does make the choice to be in the club or not. And I don't know why anybody would want to bend over backwards to be in some sort of archaic club, some religion that's super old that has all these strange beliefs that many of them are just factually incorrect. I don't know why anybody would want to be part of that club. But to the extent that you do, yeah, I think you're allowed to have positions all over the political spectrum and still be part of whatever the group is.
Bishop of San Francisco, he's told the priests in that diocese that they can't give her communion. Do you suspect or do you anticipate that all of those priests will follow that order?
Well, they'll have to. He is their, Archbishop Cordileone is their boss.
Okay, well, what if the Pope comes out and says that's nonsense? She's allowed to keep getting communion. Well, then will they switch their position and say, look, the ultimate authority in the Catholic Church just disagree with the archbishops, so it is what it is? My guess is they'll still side with the archbishop and not the Pope.
The other bishops across the country may or may not. But this is, he's laid the marker down, and there's a lot of bishops supporting him. Look, Rachel, very quickly, our bishop here, Archbishop Rummel, many years ago in New Orleans, he excommunicated people who were segregationists. They wanted to keep black children out of...
You mean segregationists? Look, if that's true, that's one rare example of the Catholic Church taking a moral stand on something where I understand the moral stand.
The schools here, he excommunicated them. Excommunication is far...
But let's also note he's comparing being pro-choice to being pro-segregationist. Very weird.
Stronger than saying you can't come to communion. That cuts you off from salvation and all the sacraments. That is not what Archbishop Cordileone is doing here. He is calling Nancy Pelosi to repentance and to publicly repudiate her statements about abortion.
Yeah, he's looking out for her soul and also his own. He has a responsibility as a bishop. So there's a lot going on here. By the way, interesting point you said, if other bishops follow suit. Joe Biden campaigned as a Catholic with rosary beads and all, and he is now the head of the most radical pro-abortion administration in U.S. history. So
radical pro-abortion. It's been the law of the land for decades. Radical pro-abortion.
See where this goes. Raymond, so great to get your input on this. Have a great Sunday.
These guys are great. They're so stupid. I enjoy watching the segment. Anyway, so I told you I'd bring up some statistics for you here. Look at this. Look at this. Here we go. Views. Oh, wait. Where am I? Am I at the wrong spot here? This is about evolution. I didn't want that one. Views about environmental regulation by Catholics. Views about same-sex marriage by Catholics. Views about homosexuality by Catholics. Views about abortion. Here we go. Views about abortion among Catholics by political parties. By political party. So look at this. Republican Catholics. 38% of Republican Catholics say abortion should be legal in all or most cases. 38%. So even among Republican Catholics, almost 40% say, yeah, it should be legal in all or most cases. Then you have 59% that say it should be illegal in all or most cases. Catholic Democrats. Or, excuse me, Catholic no-leaners, so like kind of apolitical Catholics. 44% say abortion should be legal in all or most cases. 49% say it should be illegal in all or most cases. Then you have Democratic Catholics, I can't talk today, 58% say it should be legal in all or most cases, so a majority of Catholic Democrats say abortion should be legal, and 37% say it should be illegal in all or most cases. So you have, in the Catholic Church, you have a massive split on this issue, even though they're trying to pretend otherwise. Now, the next logical question you might ask is, okay, but what percentage of Catholics are Democrats? It's got to be a really, really low percentage, right? Wrong. Look at this. Party affiliation among Catholics is in Pew Research. 44% are Democratic. Only 37% are Republican. And 19% are sort of apolitical, and they don't say they lean either way. So a plurality of Catholics are Democratic. A plurality of Catholics. So you're looking at a split that's like about 50-50. Or maybe even leaning more pro-choice in the Catholic Church among the people who go to a Catholic church. Plurality are Democrats. And, the majority of them support abortion and they're pro-choice. And even 38% of the Republicans in the Catholic Church are pro-choice. I mean, by saying something like, if you are pro-choice, you're not allowed to get communion. I mean, what this archbishop is doing, whether or not he realizes it, is putting up his middle finger to maybe a majority of people who are Catholics and go to church. So, all right, hey man, if you wanna make an argument here for let's purge the church of all pro-choice people, well, your numbers are going to continue to dwindle and dwindle and dwindle and get less and less, and you're becoming less and less relevant. In fact, I think that was one of the arguments behind the scenes for why they went with this current pope, is that he leaned a little bit more left than previous popes, and that made it so that he could try to recruit more. In an era where people are becoming more liberal on social issues, people want to help people out economically, it was sort of like a last-ditch effort. Let's try to stop the ultimate destruction of the church and people fleeing the church by making the Pope more relatable and having some better positions on the issues. And this archbishop steps in and tries to torch that whole thing by saying, look, if you're pro-choice, you shouldn't be allowed to get communion. All right, Dippy. But look, in a weird roundabout way, I should support this archbishop because I think more people should be non-religious. So if he's going to make fewer people religious by making his club this little clique of hateful weirdos, it's like, okay, fine. Embrace that you guys are hateful weirdos. So anyway, there you have it. Nancy Pelosi getting slammed by the Catholic Church, but of course the arguments used by these goofballs are rather terrible. Ever since Adpocalypse, when YouTube defunded all independent news and politics overnight, we haven't trusted them. We know they can pull the rug out from underneath us at any time. If you enjoy this content, please consider tipping $1 or $2 per month on the Secular Talk Patreon. Link in the video description box below. Thanks for your support.